Ladies and gentlemen, the long awaited, highly anticipated, unbelievable, we're in session 21 of the fifth week of the United States National High School Champions League starting 11. And we have, I'm going to, I'll go with, I'll call him Eddie O. But when he comes on, he's going to tell us the great name that he has because it's beautiful and I don't want to chop it up. I tell you, So, but this man about town down at Tampa Bay, he's, he's, there's, they haven't found anybody that doesn't like this guy. And I have the most incredible story that I need to share as to why Eddie was welcomed with open arms. Eddie's from the great Nigerian youth squad in '85 who came upon the world and said, Africa is here, man. And it just, the technique, the technical skills that they had was, it didn't take a back seat to nobody, no how. And they won the Youth World Cup. And then talk about tactics all across the world. They wanted a Nigerian. Well, Eddie was one of them. And here he goes, is that before he was able to suit up, he had a nation tryout. And so they tried him out. And they tried along with 500 others. And the story goes is that for some reason this old galoot of a soccer coach didn't like Eddie and tapped and say, forget about it. Well, Eddie says, no, man, it can't, no. And Eddie, when he came upon the tryout, he had, if not the best, large afro hairdo. They couldn't find the other guy because it was immaculate. So he says to himself, I gotta cut this off. I'm gonna shave my head and I'm gonna come back tomorrow and they're gonna not know who I am and baba boom, baba bam. Well, sure enough, that's what he does. He comes back bald headed. The family say, "Whoa, Eddie, what you do?" And so he made it, and that is why, amongst all the other things, he's a legit. But that story, he's well certified, Eddie. Eddie, you're well certified. There's nobody to keep you out of well certified Hall of Affinity with that story, buddy. That's the essence of being well certified. Congratulations, Eddie.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the warm welcome. I'm so excited now that I've been well certified. But my journey has been extremely, diverse in the sense that, you know, I've started playing in Nigeria. Obviously, I know the high school champions league that we have here, but just imagine in Nigeria where all the national team players, every player that made it in the 80s and 90s came from the high school principal cup. We call it principal cup back then. So most of us graduated through the national program, the youth training um, sports. It's like equivalent of ODP here. So just to quickly wrap up the story, I remember going to a tryout where there's over 500, players trying out. And in Nigeria back then, we don't have that registration where everybody register. They have a list. It wasn't that organized. Is you show up, you try out, and once they tap you on the shoulder, you're out. So the interesting thing about it is I was tapped out, right? Because, a coach sees you, there were 500 kids, maybe 15 coaches trying to, find the best talent, and there's talent everywhere. And I can tell you the 26 players that they picked may not be the best player out of the 500, but you have to find a way to make it. Cut a long story short, I had one of the nicest back in the 80s afro, right? And my mom had a hairdressing, boutique. So obviously my afro was one of those guys that, even the Jackson 5 will have to compete with me, right? But that that first Saturday when I got caught, it was devastating. I had to wait around for 2 hours, for the rest of the guys, to finish the first day. And my friend that kind of took me there, he came with his bicycle, and so we had to ride with him, and he's a goalkeeper. So waiting 2 hours for them to finish, I had to start thinking, how do I face this crowd? What do I do? So as soon as we got back home, before I got to my parents' house, I went to his brother's house, and I asked him to shave my hair. So he shaved my afro, right? Just completely bald it. And they were wondering, why are you doing that? But I had it in mind that I'm going to go try again, right? So, Kevin, I went home, got in trouble with my mom. She was upset with me, and I just had to tell her, you know, I used somebody else's comb to comb my hair, and I think, they had lice in their head, and so I didn't want to bring lice home. I'm not saying that we should lie. I wouldn't even say that's lying. It's just creativity, right? I had to be creative to not get into trouble. So lo and behold, I went back the next day, and I stayed away from that coach, and they slimlined everything. I made one of the top 26 out of 500. So that's a story that kicked off my soccer career. And then, I was fortunate enough to be recognized, being one of the squad in the 85. And then I moved to England, where I played in England, with multiple clubs there in the early and late 80s. And then I came to the US, for my college education. The reason I'm saying this is because the importance of high school soccer, right? High school kind of prepares you for college. If a student wants to play in college as an athlete, it's important to recognize that, in my opinion, high school soccer prepares them for college. Here's why I say that, Kevin.
Yeah,
When, when, yeah,
because
go ahead.
Eddie, injuries happen, and what are you going to do after you can't play soccer? Well, you were prepared, man, and hats off to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I got injured, I had a ruptured Achilles. So I was out 8 months, right? And then I was coming back from that injury after rehab. And 6 weeks into the next season, I ruptured it again. At that
Mm.
point, I was devastated. And for me, I figured, if this is the end, what do I have to do? Everything I've done so far is in soccer related, even though when I was in school in Nigeria, education was big. So I had to find my way to come to the US to get my education, where I got my bachelor's in computer science, and then I got my master's in business. And then after that, it wasn't enough. I got my second master's in criminal justice, right? So education is always been part of my life. I look at sports or athletics as a vehicle, right, to
Right.
propel you to the next level. Okay. Along the way, I've been coaching at every level. I coach, semi-pro teams, adult league. I've been a director. I've coached youth development for about 34 years since I've been in the US. So in that time, I've coached club soccer, director of soccer. I've coached high school. In fact, Jim Hart would tell you, he had one of the best high school team when he was coaching. And every time we play Jim's school, we get mercy rules, right? And Jim would tell you that when my players get mercy ruled before the halftime of the game, they're looking forward to the next game, because part of the development is to help them understand that in life we're going to win some and we're going to lose, right? And Jim would tell you, even after we got messy rule, my players are always the first to go shake hands, congratulate the other team, because sportsmanship is part of the education. And we as coaches, we're not only just coaching the technical side of the game or the tactical, right? We're developing young men and young women for the future, right?
Yes.
We're preparing them to go for higher education, right? And because of that, I've seen the difference between club soccer and high school soccer. So when the championship, high school Champions League movement started, I was on board, right? Because when my students travel on the same bus to go to a game, right? Even after losing, you can see the chemistry, the dynamics, because it allows them to forget the game and get ready for the next practice. Because they'll be joking, laughing on the bus ride back to school where their parents will pick them up, right? And on the other hand, the club players, they train twice or three times a week. They don't go to the same school. There is no socially and academic relationship there because they just distant friend. They play club together. They meet on Saturday. After Saturday or Sunday or tournament, they all go back to their respective homes or schools. So high school actually brings them together as a unit. And guess what? When the students go to college, they're going to travel on the school bus. They're going to go on the college, journey where they'll be traveling with the school bus. They're not having parents drop them off to games, drop them off to practice. They live in the same dormitory. So, in my opinion, high school Champions League really prepares them for the next level, right? It's a pathway to college, you know, and the club, on the other hand, they're developing, but I wish high school soccer can be stretched to 6 or 8 months of the year because that's where the true development will come, right? And that's the way I see it, and that's why the high school championship movement is incredible.
Nice. And the the game of soccer is a mind. It's played with the mind, and your feet are just the tools of it. But it's in the middle, from your head to your foot, the heart
Correct.
of the individual, and being a part of a social network. Uh, you know, it it's you can't just forget about it. It's it's part of a regular human being going up through it. That brings you to where you are in service of others, and you have always done. You teach people how to fish instead of just feed them. You you know you take care of the immediate needs, but you teach people how to fish, how to prepare, stand for themselves, and that's why I got to ask you. You got a beautiful tradition, a rich tradition of your family in Nigeria. How do you pronounce? What is your name?
Okay. So everybody knows me across the Tampa Bay area as Eddie O, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, because my last name is pronounced Oyakhilome, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm still, I feel sorry for my wife and my kid because they have to learn to say it, right? They have to learn to say it. The easy way is to say Eddie O, but it's Oyakhilome. And when my wife is mad at me, she calls me, "Oh, you're killing me." So
Oh,
everybody always has
oh,
fun with
oh
it.
yeah. 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 Well, tell the wife she's in the Whale Certified Hall of Fame too now.
Oh, thank you. I'll
Yeah.
tell her she's been well certified. She'll be excited. I mean,
Yeah.
when you have a name like that, right, I tell you what, the beauty about names like that is people remember you. Hopefully for the good, because they'll be like that guy. He has that long, weird name, right? So that's one identifier. And then the second one is then they'll be like, well, we're just going to call it Coach O or Eddie O, right?
Yeah.
So they actually trademark that name because, I don't want to get sued if they bite their tongue trying to pronounce my name. So I'm okay with Eddie O, but it's Oyakhilome.
Oh man, that's beautiful. Does it mean something in Nigeria? The name?
I think it means that, you're not, there's no suffering in you if you set your mind to do whatever you want to do, right? We are the story we tell ourselves. So it's more like, you're not going to suffer because what you have in you, right?
Wow.
It's what you tell yourself. And so when we look at it, right, that's why I'm always looking to solve problems. I look into solutions rather than worry about problems.
That,
Because when we worry about problems, I tell my players, when I mentor kids, right, to say, just always think about a solution, because a solution would always favor you if your mind is structured to that. And the problems, you can filter them out as noises,
that,
right?
yes.
Especially our young athletes, right? They have pressure from everywhere. Okay, they have pressure from their friends, pressure from parents, pressure from coaches, pressures from school counselors. So why should they at that young age have that much pressure? But so what I try to teach them is to find a way to filter that, because that will give them the life, the academic and the athletic balance.
Yes. Well, after I'm able to take all your information because you are well versed in so many things of how people can get a hold of you and find out about the organizations you belong to. And one of them is the Salvation Army. You're in all the on all the boards because of your find how you work solutions to a problem in the Tampa Bay area, and well certified starting 11 wants to reach out and applaud you for that because that it carries over what you do on the soccer field, you carry over in your personal life.
Yes, I appreciate it. I am the vice chairman of the Hernando Salvation Army because I love to serve. I love to serve. So I'm always into community service. I have a foundation, that helps kids with education. I actually have put a bunch of wells and boreholes in certain countries across Africa. My wife and I, we've donated, wells and water, provided water to some countries in Africa. And because of my passion for soccer, I also help kids get into professional environment, to get professional tryouts. I'm sponsoring an academy in Africa. And also we have Coolidge, which is, I'm on the advisory board of Coolidge, which is an educational technology platform that actually help student athletes navigate the college journey. So if they go to coolidge.com, they will get more information about how to get through to finding the right fit college for them, right? Because the college process is so stressful. There's so many informations out there that it's overwhelming for students and parents, right?
Yeah.
An average student, it takes them about 680 hours just to go through trying to find a college that suits them. And what Coolidge does is it helps streamline that process, that the kids will now be matched to the right school. There's over 6,200 plus colleges and universities in the United States. There
Wow.
is a college for every student.
Yes.
But the system is designed that is so stressful. So what Coolidge does is it tries to get them ready through their SAT test prep. It prepares them for SAT. It guides them through their essay writing. It help manages their tasks. It allows their parents, their counselor, their high school coach, their club coach to have access. So everybody now becomes accountability partner for that student. So it's all about the student, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that the students, these kids these days, they got pressures from everywhere. But in college, we give the student the driving seats. Let the student drive and understand the pathway to college. And then the parents are supporting, their coaches are supporting through the platform because they can see how the kid is progressing their journey from freshman to senior. The platform guides them through, and then we have one-on-one counseling just to help them. Because when we look at it, college is important. Sports is a vehicle for them to get the education. Like you said, if they get injured, right, what do they have to rely on? If I didn't go to college after my injury, what would I be doing? So we try to prepare them mentally, academically, athletically, right? And then we match them to the right school that we know the chances of them graduating is high, right? Rather than dropping out because they went to the wrong state school. And then, through the process, they have access to over 35,000 scholarships that they can start scholarship because finance is important. If they can get some scholarship that they don't have to pay for to apply, and the platform provides it for them, it helps the family. So because of my passion for sports, my passion for academics and education, so we've been able to put this platform together as a one-stop shop to streamline the process for the family.
Way
And
to
we're proud sponsor of the high school Champions League as well.
right on. And that's where we are going to open it up, is that you're going to be starting a website. You got it up and running, but we're going to have to, you got to teach the whale how to run through your website like others. Like, I want to learn how to say your name. You teach me how to go for their website so that everyone, they go to the start in 11 in the morning, and then they spend the rest of the day on the website with all the information about the high school champions league, the movement. And it brings us to that time, Eddie, that the referee's about to blow this whistle. But
Yes.
yes, but the story goes is that when you do something, you bring the person into it, but you don't leave them there. You're with them, man. We're friends for life, and
I,
yeah, and that's the beautiful connection between St. Louis and Tampa. Hey, man, it's just not when it's times are good. Whatever happens, we're friends, and we're here for the long run. So it goes to where I think possibly the both of us are kind of like even Steven on how long we can talk.
I
Yeah,
I know we can talk forever, but
yeah, yeah,
I mean I know your story, and
yeah.
what you're doing is, what I look at it and say, when you're driving to work or to school, and to just sit in the car or just listen to you for 10-15 minutes, it's like TMZ for high school, right? It is something that kind of takes, it gives their mind, to look for a crossing in the morning rather than the craziness around us in the news. So what you actually put out, the content, in my opinion, is incredible. All the guys that have been on your as your guests, they've been highly qualified and they have the passion for soccer. And soccer is the greatest path to networking. It's a global sport, right? You put a soccer ball anywhere in the world, you're going to make friends, right?
Yeah.
And this is the beauty of what your contents and your audience enjoying. And I really appreciate you having me. I'm
Yes.
honored to
Yeah.
be whaling
Wonderful.
certified.
And you got an
I have
open.
bragging rights now.
Yes, you got an open door. You know how to get in. You say, "Hey, Wales," and so here it is, man. You and the missus are well certified, and
Yeah.
we can't wait to see you again. To hear you again about all the great things that you're doing in the Tampa area and internationally. And this has been the United States National High School Champions League starting 11. And Eddie, you're in the 11, baby. You're in the 11.
Yeah, I made it. I
Yeah,
made it. I'm excited.
right.
Like I said, I'm gonna, flex my will certification,
All right.
across the whole Tampa Bay. So
All
I
right
am
then.
honored. I appreciate you.
All right then. So good night, Eddie, and
Thank
we'll
you.
be seeing each other again.
God bless.
Bye bye.
Thank you.